Have you ever felt exhausted from trying? Have you reached a point where it seems that everything you thought you were building has started to crumble right before your eyes? It's as if you poured your whole heart into something, a career, a relationship, an old dream, and suddenly, everything fell apart. And then comes that bitter feeling of failure, abandonment, of being alone in the middle of chaos. Have you ever looked around and had the impression that everyone else is succeeding, except you? That door's open for everyone but you. And then the doubt creeps in. Is God really with me? The truth is, many people carry this feeling deep inside. The sensation of being at rock bottom, where there is no light, where the voices of motivation fall silent, and all that remains is a deafening silence. But what if I told you that it is precisely in that silence that God works the most? Because God's silence does not mean absence. Sometimes, silence is preparation. Sometimes, He is building something that your eyes cannot yet see. And that is why you don't understand it yet. Think about Joseph. He was betrayed by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, falsely accused, and imprisoned. He spent years being forgotten, treated as nothing. Years. Not days, not weeks. Years. Can you imagine the pain of feeling erased from your own story? Of seeing all your dreams slipping away, while life seems to reward those who wronged you? But even in that cold prison, God did not forsake Joseph. Even when it seemed like nothing was happening, everything was being prepared. Because it was in that prison that Joseph met Pharaoh's cupbearer. And through this connection, God led him to the palace. What seemed like the end was, in fact, the beginning of what no one could have predicted. God was building in the unseen. And maybe today you're living your own prison. It may not be a physical place, but a state of soul. A phase that no one understands. A pain that no one sees. Maybe you're silently grieving a loss you didn't even have time to process. Or the shame of a mistake that still haunts you. Or even the frustration of giving your best, only to feel like it's never enough. But let me tell you something, God is still there. The Bible shows us that God never took the shortcuts the world uses. He doesn't choose the qualified. He qualifies the chosen. And many times, He allows us to walk through valleys so that we can see that strength doesn't come from us, but from Him. Because when all you have is God, you find out that God is all you need. It's at this point, when our strength runs out, that His strength begins to hold us up. It's when faith goes from being a theory to becoming an experience. It's when the miracle begins to take shape, not with fireworks, but with perseverance in the everyday. With hidden tears that become seeds. With whispered prayers in the middle of the night that move heaven. And you know what the most beautiful part of all this is? It's that God knows you. He knows exactly where it hurts. He isn't shocked by your questions, nor does He pull away from your moments of weakness. On the contrary, He draws near. He enters your pain. He holds you up when you can no longer walk. Have you ever noticed how, sometimes, help comes from the least expected places? Like an unexpected hug, a message that arrives at the perfect moment, or even a video like this. None of that is by chance. It's God saying, I'm still here. Now take a deep breath. Remember the times when you thought you couldn't handle it, but you did. When you thought you wouldn't endure, but you did. That wasn't your strength. That was grace. That was God. He is shaping you while you think you're being forgotten. He is preparing paths while you only see walls. And do you know what else? Perhaps your greatest frustration today will be exactly what makes you a beacon for someone else tomorrow. Perhaps you are being silently prepared, so that at the right moment, you become the answer in someone's life. This is how God works. He turns pain into purpose, tears into legacy, wounds into testimony. So, before you say, I give up, consider if you are just one step away from what God has promised. Think about whether this desert you are facing today is actually the place where He is revealing His presence to you like never before. Don't rely solely on what you see right now, because what you see might seem chaotic, but what God is doing is building. And in time, you will realize that the pieces that seem disconnected today form a greater plan. And this plan has a name: new beginnings, redefinition, rebirth. And when that day comes, and it will come, you will look back and say, it was worth not giving up. Because it was there, in the place of your greatest pain, that God wrote the beginning of your greatest miracle. Waiting is exhausting, isn't it? The feeling of walking in circles, seeing no progress, hearing no answers. It feels like time is passing for everyone except you. Like the dreams that once seemed so alive are now dormant in some corner of your soul. Have you ever felt that way? Watching others advance, seeing people achieve what you once dreamed of, while you stay there, stuck, waiting for something you no longer know if will happen? It feels unfair, it feels lonely. But what if this waiting has a purpose? The waiting time is not wasted time. It is preparation time. It is the interval between the request and the miracle. It is the place where God works on your roots, not on your stage. Because God cares more about who you are becoming than what you will achieve. He knows that blessings without maturity can become burdens. That's why He trains you first, even if you don't understand yet. Think about Jesus, the Son of God. Heaven knew who He was. But still, He spent 30 years in anonymity. 30 years as the son of a carpenter. 30 years helping Joseph with wood, nails, and a hammer. 30 years living like any other man, without spotlight, without audience, without recognition. Why do you think that was? Because even the Savior had to go through a time of preparation. Because heaven values the invisible. Now look at your life. How many times have you prayed for change? How many times have you said, "Lord, use me, take me further, open doors"? And perhaps what you are living right now is the very answer to that prayer, just in a form different from what you expected. Because sometimes, the answer comes as silence. As a season when everything seems still, but your character is being shaped. Your faith is being refined. You are being forged for something greater. Do you remember David? Before being anointed king, he looked after sheep. There was no honor in that work. No one saw him. But it was in the field, alone, that he learned to fight. It was there that he faced lions and bears. It was there that he developed the courage that would lead him to defeat Goliath. And the most amazing thing, when Samuel went to Jesse's house to anoint the new king, David wasn't even called. He was forgotten by his own family. But God didn't forget. God saw what no one else saw. And in due time, David was exalted before all those who had ignored him. Perhaps you are in that field right now, doing a job no one values, serving where no one acknowledges, persisting in a marriage that no one knows is difficult, dedicating yourself to a child who doesn't thank you, working honestly while others seem to succeed through deceit. And in that field, you might be wondering, is it worth it? Yes. Because the field is the school of kings. It's there that God observes how you take care of the small things before giving you greater things. It's there that He tests your faithfulness, your heart, your humility. Because when the time for exaltation arrives, and it will be impossible to bring you down, because you will have deep roots. And here's a hard but necessary truth. Not every delay comes from the enemy. Sometimes, delay is protection. It's God saying, "Not yet. You're not ready. I still need to teach you something." And if you're sensitive enough to understand this, you'll realize that even the quietest days were, in fact, the most productive ones for eternity. Want an example from today? Think about J.K. Rowling's life. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, she was a single mother, living with financial struggles, rejected by several publishers. She could have given up. But she used her waiting time to write, to persevere, to grow. When the time finally came, she was ready. And she changed the world of literature. What about you? How have you been using your waiting time? Have you been complaining, comparing yourself, giving in to exhaustion? Or have you used this time to deepen your faith? To align with God? To strengthen your belief? Maybe it's time to change the question. Instead of asking, "Why is this taking so long?" ask, "What does the Lord want to teach me here?" Because that's the key that transforms the desert into a classroom. And if I can give you a challenge, here it is. For the next 30 days, when you wake up, before complaining or grabbing your phone, say a simple prayer, "Lord, show me what you want to build in me today." That's it. Every day. Do it sincerely. And watch how your perspective will change. How your posture will transform. Because when you understand that the waiting time is sacred, you stop fighting against it and start growing within it. And in the end, when you look back, you'll thank God for every second of this journey. You'll realize that waiting didn't delay your life. It saved you. It strengthened you. It prepared you for something you didn't even know you were capable of living. And then, at the right time, God will place you exactly where you should be. And no one will be able to say it was luck. It was faithfulness. It was process. It was God. There are days when you simply can't take it anymore. You wake up already tired, as if you've spent the whole night battling thoughts that no one understands. You walk around the house on autopilot. You smile to avoid worrying others, but inside, you're falling apart. Have you ever felt like you're screaming, but no one hears? Like life has lost its color, and all that's left is a constant effort not to fall apart. Many people live like this, carrying a pain that cannot be explained. A pain that comes from within, that isn't physical, but suffocates, paralyzes. And in those moments, the enemy whispers in your ear, "You won't make it out of this. It's better to give up." But listen carefully, pain is not the end. In fact, it can be the beginning of something new. Jesus, the very Son of God, went through pain. He felt agony. In Gethsemane, he sweated drops of blood. He asked the Father if it was possible to remove that cup from him. But he didn't give up. He faced the cross. And it wasn't because he wasn't afraid. It was because he knew that pain was part of the purpose. That suffering wasn't the end of the story. That there was life after the cross. And it's this same truth that reaches you today. You might be living your Gethsemane now. A time when no one understands you. Where everything hurts. Where your dreams seem to have died. But the cross wasn't the end for Jesus, and what you're facing now won't be the end for you either. Maybe you don't understand now. Maybe your soul just wants rest. But hold on tight. Because God doesn't waste pain. Sometimes we think faith is about living with a smile. About waking up full of energy, declaring victories, and collecting miracles. But true faith is about continuing to pray even without an answer. It's about getting out of bed even when you have no strength. It's about believing that God is doing something, even when everything seems still. That is faith. That is courage. Have you ever noticed how the wisest, most profound, and sensitive people are often the ones who have endured great suffering? Pain, when placed in God's hands, transforms into healing. Into compassion. Into strength. Into testimony. Perhaps today you are mourning something that didn't die, but changed. A friendship that drifted apart. A marriage that grew cold. A job that hurt you. A life you dreamed of but never came to pass. And all of it hurts. Because we idealize. We invest. We wait. But sometimes, what we longed for so deeply would have destroyed us if God had allowed it. He sees what you cannot see. And that's why He doesn't always remove the pain from your life, but rather He delivers you through it. He holds your hand. He gives you strength to carry on. He counts your tears one by one. He transforms your weeping into seeds. And one day, you will harvest. Do you know why you're still here? Because there is something greater than this pain. There is a purpose beyond what you feel right now. And even if you can't see it today, that doesn't mean it isn't happening. It's like a seed being planted. The process is dark, silent, invisible. But it's there, in the hidden, where life begins to sprout. Do you remember Nelson Mandela? 27 years in prison. 27. He could have emerged broken, bitter, vengeful. But he chose forgiveness. He chose to transform his pain into a cause. The prison didn't limit him, it prepared him. Suffering forged him. And that's why he went beyond pain. He became a symbol of resilience, reconciliation, and peace. You, too, can go beyond pain. You don't need to pretend that you're fine. But you also don't have to let pain define who you are. Because it is not your identity. It is a phase. A process. A journey. God isn't expecting you to be strong all the time. He just wants you to keep going. That, even in weakness, you can say, "I still trust." That, even while crying, you can pray, "Hold me, Lord." That, even when you're exhausted, you keep going. Because those who continue, arrive. Those who remain, flourish. Those who endure, testify. And you will testify. One day, you will look back at this valley and say, "It was hard. It was painful. But it was there that I truly met God." Because the God of the Bible is not a concept. He is real. He enters into suffering. He makes himself present in pain. He transforms the broken into healing. And he is doing that right now, while you hear this message. Because the pain you carry today is not the end. It is the starting point. It is the fertile ground where the miracle will bloom. It is where God will reveal who you truly are. And who he is, in you. How many times have you thought there's no way out? That you've tried everything, prayed, fasted, waited, and nothing has changed? It feels like life is stuck in a bad chapter, and you just can't turn the page. Maybe you're at a point where it feels like nothing you do is enough. The weight of frustration has piled up. The shame of having to explain to family and friends why it still hasn't worked has started to silence you. And then doubt creeps in. Is this really my story? Is there still something reserved for me? Or has my time passed? But I want to remind you of a truth that can change everything. God still writes impossible stories. He is not limited by statistics, diagnoses, bank accounts, or the opinions of others. When he decides to act, he turns a tomb into a stage for a miracle. And that's why you're still here. Because there's still a story for you to live. There are still promises to be fulfilled. Do you remember Lazarus? He had been dead for 4 days. 4. This wasn't a miscalculation. It was intentional. It was enough time for everyone to believe it was too late. Hope had died. But Jesus showed up when everyone had already given up. And do you know what he did? He didn't touch the body. He didn't open the tomb. He simply called, "Lazarus, come out." And what was dead came to life. Have you ever felt like Lazarus? Are you trapped in an emotional tomb, feeling dead inside, with your faith extinguished, your dreams buried, and your motivation lost? Have you ever felt like what you carry within has long passed its expiration date? Like no one believes in you anymore? But what if today Jesus is calling you too? What if he's saying, "Hey, you over there, come out. Your story isn't over yet." Because God doesn't need much to begin something new. In fact, he specializes in starting over in ways no one expected. He takes what the world has discarded and turns it into a masterpiece. He lifts the fallen, heals the broken, and exalts the forgotten. And he does all this because he loves. He loves beyond measure. He loves even when you have doubts, even when you have failed, even when you've drifted away. You may not believe in yourself anymore, but he believes in you. He knows the potential that lies within, even if all you can see are broken pieces. He knows your complete story. He understands what happened behind the forced smiles. He knows the nights you cried in silence. He knows the strength it took just to keep going. And now, he's telling you, it doesn't end here. No matter how far you've gone, how many mistakes you've made, or how many times you've felt inadequate, God still has a story to write with you. And this new chapter won't be a repeat of the old one. It will be something others won't understand. It will be so unexpected, so incredible, so redemptive, that for a moment, you'll doubt it. But you'll live it. Because the author of your story is the same one who said, "Behold, I make all things new." You know that thought that your life has already had its best moments? Forget it. With God, the best is always yet to come. He didn't bring you this far to leave you halfway. He is faithful to finish what he started. And when he completes a work, he doesn't leave any flaws. He doesn't skip any steps. He does everything with purpose. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. 1,000 times. And he didn't call that failure. He called it learning. Because he knew that the process is part of the result. And maybe you're at that point right now, trying, failing, starting over. But if you don't give up, if you keep trusting, the light will shine. What seems dark today will glow. Because your effort is not in vain. God sees every step, every tear, every attempt. So please, don't close the book now. Don't think the story has already given all it has to give. Because when God enters the story, he transforms every chapter into redemption. Even the worst ones. Even the most shameful ones. He doesn't erase the past. He gives it new meaning. He uses what you thought was the end as a bridge to a glorious new beginning. And you know what else? When the victory comes, and it will come, you will understand why you had to wait so long. Because God doesn't give you any ending. He gives you an ending that glorifies his name. An ending that heals not only you, but also anyone who hears your testimony. You will live to tell the tale. You'll look back and see that the valley was part of it. That the silence taught you. That the delay was protection. And that the impossible was just the stage for the miracle. Because with God, the story never ends in defeat. It always ends in resurrection. Perhaps right now, at this very moment, your eyes are filled with tears. Maybe you have a lump in your throat, with your heart heavy, because everything you've heard here feels like it was written just for you. It's no coincidence. It's no accident. It's God. It's him touching your soul, reminding you that, even in the midst of chaos, even on the days when no one sees you, he still sees you with love, mercy, and purpose. You didn't get this far by your own strength. There were moments when you wanted to give up, but something, or rather, someone, held you up. There were nights when you thought of disappearing, but you woke up the next morning. There were pains no one saw, but they were recorded in heaven. Every tear, every sigh, every effort. God has seen it all. And He hasn't forgotten about you. That's why this message is reaching you now. Because He loves you. A love that doesn't depend on what you do or don't do. A love that doesn't demand perfection, but embraces you as you are. Wounded, tired, worn out. A love that says, son, daughter, come back. I still have promises to fulfill in your life. I still have dreams greater than yours. I still want to lift you up, heal you, restore you. And maybe you can't understand why all of this is happening. But understand one thing, God doesn't waste any pain. Nothing you've been through was in vain. Nothing. Not even your darkest days. Because He will turn every scar into a testimony. Every fall into growth. Every loss into rebirth. So, even if it still hurts, breathe. Even if it's still dark, trust. Even if it seems too late, wait. Because God is still writing astonishing endings. And when He writes, He makes everything new. He changes destinies. He resurrects what was dead. He returns the hope the world tried to steal. Now, close your eyes for a moment. Feel this invisible embrace. It's not just emotion. It's not just beautiful words. It's God Himself reaching out to you, reminding you that you've never been alone, that He's always been there, and that He will still show you that what's to come is infinitely better than anything that's gone before. You will still smile for real. You will still sing with joy. You will still be grateful for not giving up, because the best of God hasn't passed. The best of God is only just beginning.